had like this competitive, I wouldn't say competitive. We had this guy we were trying to line up for an interview, and he said, well, I can't do that interview. I can't do an interview with you until he works at a place where they started a podcast. They did 2 episodes, and that was like 5 months ago, and they still have 2 episodes. So they gave up.
Yeah.
They called it quits. It's not exactly easy.
It is
Content is not easy.
And the issue with that is that you have this expectation that you should get a certain number of views. Like I saw that you guys got 1,000 on Hopper. That's sick.
Off the rip, you think that you're going to be the most popular show in the world. You're looking at these views, and you know it's disheartening.
Yeah.
Like it disheartens you a little bit.
You're very
sometimes,
demoralized.
and you're very humbled.
Yeah, you're like 20 views. I put so much time into
You
this.
just got to keep pounding them
2
out.
hours of my life, and I got 30 views, and like on the podcast, I got like 80. So like 110 views. This is what I did this for.
Right. It's very, very disheartening.
It is disheartening.
And then you start looking at analytics. Like
cheers
I posted,
to that. Cheers to those 110.
Yeah. Cheers to that struggle for sure.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Then you start looking at analytics, and I just saw yesterday that 90% of our viewers aren't even subscribed to our channel.
But
like, are you kidding me?
There was a caveat, man. There was a caveat to that because it was a tequila review.
No, that was our channel in general over the past year.
Oh damn! You didn't tell
Over
me
our
that.
past
I thought it was
year.
because of.
Oh, no.
I thought it was because of the tequila review.
Dude, that was just the past year.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we have like the business that we have on our show shares it. So then we have that established, like that business's audience watches just that in support of the business that we had on, not because they're supporting us.
Sure.
They're like, oh, that's cool. Like 2 dudes are just kind of featuring them. We'll just watch it because we support that business that they had on. So we deal with that, but I mean, we don't care. Like it's eventually we hope that this is a full-time thing, but it's not.
What's the goal for you guys with this?
I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, I'm a cop.
Yeah.
This is a hobby.
Correct.
And I do this for fun. And if I always look at it as fun, it won't ever really be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get a little frustrated by it. Not by views, but obviously there's no secret in the room. Sometimes like being co-hosts on a podcast, you're gonna butt heads a little bit. It's gonna happen. There's no way around it. Sometimes you guys, it just happens, and I don't know if it's just out of frustration.
Yeah.
But the overall goal for this, I mean, man, I would love to have fucking 500 to 1,000 views. I would like to be able to have a bunch of local businesses on that want to work with us. Obviously, we're more tailored toward like whiskeys and cigar shops and breweries like you guys. But you guys, I think what you guys do in the community and you feature those small businesses that have nothing to do with whiskey, though, that's a great way to grow in the community. You know, obviously, the goal for you sounds to be like a household name in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know those guys. Those guys are great guys. They did something for my business. They really helped me out. They helped me put out my product, which is cool. I have no idea what our overall goal is. I look at my overall goal as maybe a number.
Sure.
Like,
It would be cool to get monetized, make some money off of it. That'd be
There you
pretty
go.
cool.
Yeah.
I think that would be maybe get the views up.
Yeah, how
get
about
the
that?
subscribers up, get
There's
some
a-
monetization. That'd be pretty cool.
there's
But,
a great goal. We'll put that back into the studio.
I like that, yeah.
we
For better
are
products, better
Absolutely.
content.
we are a little bit unfiltered, so it might rub some people the wrong way at some times with what we say, our beliefs. Sometimes we get a little unfiltered off the cuff, but I don't know. It comes with the territory. There could be other platforms that we could branch out onto as well. So
The thing I like about this show is, like, and I'm sure you guys have realized this already, it's easy to just sit back in the chair, get comfortable, and just say what's on your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, for you guys, whiskey and whatever you're reviewing is the big topic. You guys do your episode, you get it over with. It's all about that. Sometimes we get on like the life topics and like the things that are going on. We talk a little bit about sports and stuff. It's just a little different, but I feel like it says a lot to just be able to come in and be yourself. I don't know how that goes for everybody. Obviously, I feel like there's people that are a little bit shy in the world. You know, it's a little different of an atmosphere to be able to come on a podcast or a show and be able to say whatever they want. Like if you want to say fucking fuck or whatever you want to be yourself. Be yourself, you know. It's a little different than coming on and being like you constantly have to walk on eggshells and worry about what you're saying.
Well, that's why Rogan has 3-hour episodes, because as soon as you get past that first hour, people stop caring, because he's also feeding them Buffalo Trace because he's sponsored by them. But after the first hour, you start saying whatever's on your mind. You don't even care at that point.
and he's got his own line of like Joe Rogan Foundation cigars.
Right.
So that's pretty sweet.
And if you don't think that's strategic, you're 100% wrong.
Absolutely.
100%.
Because once it gets flowing, the real you starts coming out.
That's when the clips start coming too.
That's when you can clip
Yeah.
shit.
And he recently, I mean, not to go on like a massive Joe Rogan bender, but he recently announced how he does it. Like within the last 2 years, he finally just said it during a podcast that whatever guest is on for that week, he goes to dinner with him beforehand,
Yeah.
and he breaks the ice the day before they record. So he has like some rapport establishment with
He
us.
always seems to know so much, and
Yeah.
that makes way more sense.
yeah, and-
or they go out for drinks after too and stuff. So.
yeah. I mean, they're broing out, but like for us, we do what you were talking about. Just go off the cusp, bring in different topics. I always do a useless fact. That's our weekly episode. Like our weekly episodes.
That's Patreon exclusive though.
Yeah, like our weekly episodes, we just go off the rails, and that's the whole point. Like we'll go into current events, we'll talk about politics, we'll talk about the Bills, all sports, like we'll just dive into things, and then I always bring up useless facts, and I'm constantly researching them, because then it just literally, we'll talk about space, and those episodes have really established us from like becoming just a whiskey podcast, and then as well as just an overall podcast, and then with small business interviews, that just changed the game, because now it's like, oh, that was our first struggle. How do we go from being known as a whiskey podcast
Well,
to a
what's your
small
niche?
yeah,
You
to
gotta
like
find it.
to a small business podcast, and then it really just got to a point where we had to do 160 small businesses for people to realize that that's what we're about. We're just trying to promote Buffalo small businesses.
I got a question for you guys
Shoot.
about that on the small business side. So it's a kind of almost a two-parter. What was your favorite small business that you had on locally? And then going to the whiskey side of things, what was your favorite review that you guys did?
It's a great question.
I mean, I don't know if you want to pick favorites because,
Yeah.
everyone hates to pick a favorite. So maybe you could do that on the whiskey side.
I'm a big story guy. So honestly, one of the best interviews that we've done, I feel like every one that we've done, we had a lull, like probably about a year and a half in, where we sat down after the interview and we were like, that went terrible. So let's reevaluate how we're doing this, because this was not engaging even for me. And the thing that Mike and I we're just genuinely curious guys. So we'll talk to you about real estate for an hour. I don't care. Like I just want to talk to people. So one of the most recent one that we did was actually with Clyde Mays. I see you guys have it back there. The story behind Clyde Mays is fascinating. Grandfather, World War II vet, never got to produce his actual whiskey legally, and his grandson was on our show to promote his product. That is a sick
That
story.
actually was really sweet.
That was really sweet.
So I actually did get to listen to a lot of that, and I was like, "This is wild, man." I knew that his grandfather was like a moonshiner, but just listening to some of the shit that he was saying, it's just wild to be able to listen to an entire story and be like, "Wow, you know that dude's grandfather's up in heaven
Yeah.
or wherever the hell he is. Who the hell knows? Maybe he's in jail up there too."
yeah, you
but-
don't know.
I mean,
There's a lot of stories behind businesses.
it's crazy.
Talk about the garage quick. The garage interview we did.
It was they're a spot on Hurdle, North Buffalo.
a
yeah,
restaurant,
I know it.
It's and she goes, we lived here. This used to be a mechanic shop. My husband used to be the mechanic, and he got in a motorcycle accident, and it was their daughter, correct?
Their daughter, yeah.
Their daughter fought cancer, and then they converted it into a restaurant, bar / cafe, and then revamped the entire inside, brought back the car mechanic story aspects to have murals on the wall, and now they're doing what they're doing as the garage. And having them sit down with us to go over everything in detail was just ridiculous. And then, of course, like 3-Chord hooked us up with that. And now 3-Chord's got their own mural with like behind the stage, because 3-Chord's influence is massive behind music, obviously because of Neil Giraldo.
Yeah.
And then now it's like bringing all of these pieces in at once. So the garage is up there. 43 North is up there.
43 North was
Yeah,
sweet.
we had them on. Clyde Mays is awesome. Even like
The
just
brewery?
No, 43 North, the Buffalo startup.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the Buffalo
yeah.
startup out of Seneca One, where they're just like, we'll do anything and everything to get, and they're what most known for ACV auction.
They're the number
like,
one
used
startup
cars?
company in the world
That's crazy.
and they're in
In
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
And they have
Insane. They get people from India, from all
I used
over
to have
the
a
country
friend who worked there,
coming
yeah.
in to talk about that.
And they have
Shout
like
out the homies in India.
yeah, and they have a handshake agreement with these businesses where it's like if you go through our process, like you're forced to be in Buffalo for X amount of time, and it's years. It's not like months. So they're forced to be established here because it's a city grant, or I'm sorry, it's a state grant.
Yeah.
It's a state grant that's funding these small businesses to start up specifically in Buffalo.
To grow Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that's one of the catalysts for the resurgence in the city. Resurgence we had on was huge. Hartman's was on multiple times, and going over things with them was just like a blast.
Vic Carucci we had on, dude. We could go. I mean, I don't want to bore people, but
it's almost impossible to pick a favorite. And then from a whiskey perspective, we've had the allocations like Weller, Pappy Van Winkle, B-Lot, and like the Public Enemy #1, because we'll talk about how Kentucky's almost the same, and then we'll branch out. We've had Devil's Rivers on a bunch. I mean, it's just, for us, it's about what the brand is, and then just really articulating what their story is to others. If we can't have them on ourselves.
Yeah, and not to belabor the point about Kentucky, and just whiskey culture in general, because I feel like this is very important. We don't care how you drink your whiskey. We talk about drinking it neat. But as long as you're drinking the brown juice, I don't care what you're doing. You can have it in a cocktail. You can have it neat. You can have it 80 proof. You can have it 120 proof. There's no discrimination when it comes to drinking whiskey. It's just you're all in this culture, which I feel like in the local scene and really nationally, there's a lot of pompousness that comes with drinking whiskey. And I'm sure that you guys probably get that from cigars too.
It's definitely in the cigar.
Yeah, it's terrible because you get people.
I
that
get a little
drinking,
guilty of it myself sometimes. I'll see somebody smoking something. I'm just like, oh, that's so terrible.
Right?
That's such a bad cigar.
Yeah,
but at
then
the same time,
they're getting into it.
you might like it.
Yeah, and the fact that the worst question that I get asked all the time is like, "What's your proof point?" And like, what do you feel like your proof is? And we've talked about it. We're 100 plus because that's just what our flavor profile is.
I was going to say mine's probably 100 plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like us.
But
we like them high.
Yeah, but if you get into like how whiskey is supposed to be tasted, it's proof down for a reason. And the more water that you add, the more it gets for the flavors to come out. So that's the whole process of proofing down your whiskey. So I hate that question of like higher proof is better, because there's a lot of stuff that are lower proof that are actually really good. And like, I don't care if you're drinking Weller, I don't care if you're drinking Ginger Spice Cask and Crew. Like, you're just out there drinking and you're having fun, and that's all that we care about. And that's kind of the environment that we try to cultivate at Buffalo Happy Hour, which you guys are here too. Is just enjoy relaxing. That's what it's all about.
Do you guys ever go to like your local, like Lucky Day, or if you guys tried out Perla yet? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Isn't it nice to just go to those places and just chill?
Yeah.
Just have a pour of something good. And
It's the environment. I mean, it forces you, and that's why I like Hartman's slogan so much. Like, slow down, drink up.
drink
Yeah.
up.
Like, that's what it's all about.
I love that you had Justin on.
Me too.
Yeah, that was
It
a
comes
fun
out
episode.
Wednesday.
I'm excited. Obviously, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm fired up for that.
So I had him and Brett Rausch from Buffalo Bourbon Enthusiasts.
Okay.
So we did Buffalo Bourbon Enthusiasts together. Him and Aaron, both listeners of the show, always on the show, good guys. I'm friends with Brett.
And we still got to do that Rick and Morty bottle too with them.
Yeah, we got their
we gotta do
2K
that
followers bottles that we have to review still.
Nice.
So we're trying to get him and Aaron on. Obviously, it's a little tough. Life gets tough sometimes. So
It does. And they had a good release for Tommy Rotter's 10-year. It was 150 proof. That was good.
I forget the name of it. What was it called? I know it's 150 proof, but they had like, there's a name for it. There's like a nickname for it.
I can't remember the nickname, but when I first tasted it, I was convinced it was 120.
It's not like Armageddon or something. It's like something like that.
yeah.
Like the end of the, like, you're
Yeah.
getting fucking
Yeah.
crushed.
And dude, honest to God, it tastes like a 120 proof. I was so blown away that it was 150.
We tried to get that bottle.
Yeah, we didn't get that one. That was before we met.
That was
those
before
guys,
we
though.
knew
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
though.
It went quick too,
It
though.
did go really fast. I couldn't get in on it on the Facebook group, so.
Mm-hmm.